Hello everyone, Brian P here. So today we'll be talking about switching careers from GIS, or not necessarily switching, integrating GIS with the other areas. But then again, people usually tend to switch after some time. So I basically do this video to enlighten people, but I also use it as to learn how to communicate effectively, because I initially had that kind of a challenge and I'm improving. Okay. So thank you for you guys for tuning in. So we'll be looking into switching careers from GIS, because at times, or most of the time, so many people are switching careers kind of, and even if you come to GIS, people have their own reason of switching, and this could be because it's kind of a niche field, and it being niche, so people look out at other kind of alternative of where to venture into. Okay, so the key thing that I need to tell you first is you'll find that it relates to two principles when I was doing my analysis. So you really need first to really know two concepts, which is SQL. If there's a GIS guy who doesn't know SQL, because PostGIS has a lot to offer, so you need to know SQL and spatial SQL. And also to be able to know Python, the programming language for automating your tasks, is really good, because AC has got ArcPy. If you come to open source, they are Shapely, Rasterio, now even there's GeoPandas and such kind of stuff. Okay, among other tons of libraries. So the first starting point, the career to look into, I'll look into the one that's easier to get into pretty fast. And this will be business intelligence and data analytics, because being a GIS guy, the first thing that we usually do is mostly focus on spatial data analytics. So we do data analytics, but just focusing on the location component of it. And the best way to look into this is just to shift the career. It will just be to learn other stuff like Tableau, Power BI, and then just have strong skills in SQL and Python. So for SQL, you just need to know advanced or intermediate level, doing window function and doing subqueries. I think and that will really get you going, right? So that is the first one to easily turn to data analytics. Yeah, the second one, I'm seeing people going into data science. So they usually do there's a new term called geospatial data scientist. Yeah, if you check in LinkedIn, you'll tend to find people mostly in various developed countries, mostly in the West, tend to have that title. And then again, if you look for a GIS guy, you've been doing supervised learning and supervised learning, though mostly on satellite imageries when you're doing remote sensing analysis. So maybe if you get to know the underlying stuff on the hood, and maybe you can also create your own instead of depending the ones built on the commercial software. When you have such key principles, you can start maybe being a geospatial data scientist, and then later switch to a full-time data scientist role, just without the geospatial data scientist. The key thing is, when people switch role, they usually have geospatial software engineer, geospatial data scientist. Then later you really need to scrap this off and just focus on being purely on data analytics. And I know quite a few guys who have shifted, which is quite interesting. But for being a data scientist, you really need to also know the key statistical concept. Foundation is key. You can't just jump into start using scikit-learn and other libraries, PyTorch and whatnot, and you don't know the basic statistics concepts. Yeah, so you can use Khan Academy and even YouTube. There are quite great YouTube channels to just go through and know statistical concepts, and then after that you can easily dive into. And also areas like sites like DataCamp, which is really good. Okay, so on the third field, this will be majorly software engineering or software development. So software development is quite wide, but if you cut it into two areas, there is front-end development and back-end development. So front-end deals with what you see, mostly like when you log into Facebook or right now on YouTube, whatever you see there, that's front-end development work. Now the backend guy deals with the database and the logics behind it. Okay, it's mostly related to CRUD app, which is usually create, read, update, delete. Like most function, if you notice, it will be cycling around that in most apps. So for example, like in YouTube, I can delete, edit, update a video, for example. Yeah, so it's around that cycle. Okay. Front end now is it's about mostly HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then there is libraries, React, Angular, Vue, among others. The key thing for programming is usually know the basics concept before jumping into frameworks. So for example, for front-end guy, you'll just know the underlying principle of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript before now diving into React, Bootstrap, Angular, and such kind of frameworks to help ease in your work, because it will make your work easier or your life easier than just going to frameworks without expertise or key fundamentals of the language. So for backend, for GIS guy, it will be good to start with Python and just know about Django, because Django has got this Django framework. Though Django has so many things inbuilt already, so it has got a little bit steep learning curve. But then again, it's having interacted with it, it's kind of easy to build product pretty fast without, especially those that have huge deadlines. Then there's also Flask, which is a mini Django. It doesn't have huge components. It's just like a micro framework on its own, and you'll have to import stuff that you really need. For example, for GIS guy, if you're using Flask, you need also to check into GeoAlchemy, which is pretty interesting. Okay. So apart from that, the next field that I'm looking into is data engineering. So at times I tend to see position advertising, they need a GIS data engineer. I don't know why they specify GIS data engineering or they specify the GIS term there. Maybe it's because they've got tons of location data sets. They need a person who understands projections. So this will be really a good starting point. You can just boom, go there, learn the key things that needed for a data engineer. Data engineers mostly build data pipelines that data scientists and BI guys use. And also it depends on companies. Sometimes data engineers also build infrastructures like it has usually need to have the data engineering skills with also some DevOps skills. Yeah, and then if you look into another area that I can really recommend someone to look into is that now area number 4, I believe, is applied research. So applied research is when someone does some people want to be a scientist, you study up to PhD level, and these are usually interesting fields like climate change. Someone does study earth sciences, study hydrological sciences, you know. So with these fields, again, you can become a research scientist and focus on research. Because my company, in the previous company that I really worked on in Kenya, it was majorly agricultural research, and most people at least did a PhD. Yeah, because they usually tend to work with the scientists in the agricultural research area. If you look into another interesting field that people are not really super popular with, and especially if you are super good in remote sensing, you can consider to switch into, is being an image scientist or into computer vision. But then this again depends with what you studied in undergrad. So for someone who studied geography, you will really need again to study maybe some physics and key mathematical concepts like linear algebra and calculus. But for the guys who did BSc GIS, geospatial engineering and geomatics engineering, you guys covered the concept in the undergrad. You can reach, for example, because this is an exchange, I did make the exchange with a professor at Rochester Institute of Imaging. They are very popular in image science, and if you go there, they pretty much do some project for NASA, US military, among other companies and organizations, funded projects. It can be really good to get into there. And if you like imaging science, it opens also quite a wide variety of view, because I saw most of the guys working at Apple and stuff, just building the, because for these cameras and lenses, it needs an image scientist to help on improving them, self navigation of cars, and also largely in the remote sense. If you want to still stick in the remote sensing area, dealing with satellite and image processing and analytics, yeah, you can still stick to that. So yeah, it opens quite a wide, diverse area for you to focus on, and it's pretty interesting. So with this, it makes you to not just limit yourself on the GIS alone spectrum, which can be both good and a bad thing depending on where you are. But to be a global expert, it will be really good to have those. If there is a field that someone has really shifted to and I'm not aware of, or I've not mentioned it because I know it's quite diverse, kindly let me know so that I know and you can discuss further. Maybe in the next video we can later break down the multiple fields in details, so that, because this was just an overview video, and yeah, it will be tough to cover everything now within how many minutes? Yeah, 11 minutes. I try to keep the video short, and I believe this is an interesting discussion, so keep me posted. If I didn't mention your field, reach out to me. I'm easily available, okay? And thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe, like, and share to people to really gain, okay? Thank you. Bye.